So this is Barry Moltz again, getting small business unstuck. I'm here today again with Rieva Lesonsky. Rieva is one of the country's most influential small business advocates and agitators.
Agitators.
Rieva,
Let's get agitated.
So many of the people out there that are listening to this, believe it or not, they want to be you, right? Because you have made a great career of being involved in small business, writing about small business, observing small business, speaking about small business. There's many folks that want to get paid to write, to be a business expert. Where the heck do you start?
Well, you have to start with out of authenticity. I mean,
you actually have to have your own business and build one.
You have to understand the world that you're talking about. I mean, seriously, I hate to say the numbers because it makes me feel very sad about how old I am. But I've been doing this for over 30 years. I didn't set out to do this. I'm a trained journalist. That's what I set out to do. Stumbled upon this. And just started covering small business and talking to small business owners. Have run my own business for 3 years now, but grew up. You know, my dad had a small business, my uncles, my grandfather. This was my world. This is the only world I knew. And so if you have to start somewhere. So it really depends on who you are and what your background is. If you have run a small business and you want to share that expertise, you have to start volunteering. You're not going to get paid right off the bat. So go to a local chamber of commerce, a local small business development center, SCORE office, volunteer to lead a workshop, give a talk. It's not about making the money. It's about establishing your brand and getting very comfortable with speaking. I always say if anybody saw the first speech I ever gave, it was not really very good. You know,
just like anything else, it takes practice. You know, the football players, they don't go out there on a Sunday and having practice all week. You've got to practice speaking or writing, and so you're talking about the opportunities where you can do that.
Yes, and don't start off saying I want to be here. I need to write about small business for the New York Times. Start small. Again, there's tons of sites where people want guest bloggers. Start by posting comments on other people's blogs. Build up your brand. It's almost like you have to think of yourself as a box of detergent. You're a brand and you have to brand yourself and sort of get out in the distribution channels.
So you get so many inquiries every single day of people, of small business stories. People want you to write about them. What attracts you to a given story to say, yeah, I'm going to write about that for American Express or AOL or something like that?
Well, you know, I have very specific assignments for some of the places I write, and others it's more general. So one, if you hit me emotionally, and I don't mean, you know, a Queen for the Day kind of story because
and not a sob story.
No, I'm over sob story. I don't think people who have sob stories are necessarily more worthy of attention than I'm sorry for them, and maybe I'll donate money to their cause, but
I'm not going to write about you.
Right. I don't like that as a sort of a criteria for something. So, but if you've done something pretty spectacular in the old days, we used to say if you were a woman in a man's world. Well, we don't look at that anymore because I think it's just one big world today. But if you've come into an industry that really maybe has never been popular before, or you've invented some new kind of product, or for me right now, a lot of it is, can you make my readers, can you make them smarter? Can you make them more efficient, more productive? Can you do something that's going to change their life? A few weeks ago, I was interviewing somebody. I didn't know why. I said yes to this PR person and said, yeah, sure, I'll interview this guy. And the conversation was so interesting to me that in the middle of it, the idea came to me. And I said, I'm going to do something about the future of work, because it's all about how people are working today, and that's different than they were even 5 years ago. Right. So it's sort of like, because people are so busy doing what they're doing, I kind of look at myself as my job is to sort of shine that light in and say, okay, lift your head for a minute and pay attention to this. It's going to help.
This is what you can learn from.
This is what you can learn from.
So the last question I had for you was, you talked to so many people, you've seen so many business examples. We love business success stories. Is there someone that stands out in your mind that this was a great business success story, and here are the reasons why?
Yes. So almost my very favorite entrepreneur, I have two. One is Fred DeLuca, the founder of Subway. So I first met Fred many years ago. Subway had already been started, but it was small. And the thing that I love about Fred, even today, he's one of the most successful. It's the largest franchise in the world, bigger than McDonald's. The reason that I really like Fred is he's still really honest. And he'll tell you, he started that business at 17 because a friend of his dad said, go make money before you go to college. That was seriously it. Handed him $1,000.
Probably some good advice. Ethan, are you hearing this?
Right, $1,000 and said, go do something. So he started this, and he'll still tell you he had no clue what he was doing. Now that flies in the face of every advice, every expert's advice is going to tell you, prepare, do a business plan. He didn't know. It was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And he was losing money on the first store. And like he said, I was too dumb to know what I was doing, so I decided to open a second store because I thought I could spread my losses out. And I said, so when did you finally figure it out? He goes, store number 5. He goes, I was just stumbling my way. He said, and so he said to me once, he said, a key piece of advice is sometimes you can be too smart. And so he said, if I knew then what I knew now, there never would have been a second store. And so that really stuck with me, is sometimes you have to do what seems silly, wrong, whether you're guided by your gut, whether you're guided by some market force, that it's going to make you do something that may not make sense at the time, but for whatever reason, it all works. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. Not all the time, just a little bit of ignorance.
And blind ambition.
And blind ambition.
Rieva, thank you so much.
Thank you, Barry.